for coming, and thank you for taking the time to think about FYE, invest our efforts in it and our energy. So appreciated. And many of you are old timers with FYE, so always appreciate the continued support. So thank you to Joyce and everybody for coordinating today. Aloha.
Eri?
Yeah, thank you. Aloha, everyone. Good to see you and catch up with you all about FYE. Just super quick update. So January 5th next year, I can't believe it's almost the end of the year, but January 5th, we're going to be having a spring welcome event just to have everybody and then celebrate the new year, new semester beginning. And so if you want to participate, if you want to encourage your students to participate, even though it's open to everybody, so please encourage your students. And then the last thing is this spring semester, if you are intending to teach FY designated courses, so in Banner, if you want to have FY added, please, we're going to follow up with all of you later on with the spreadsheet. If you can, I think you're familiar with the process. If you can just designate that you do intend to teach FY designated courses, let us know, then we can put that in the Banner system. That's all, and thank you, and have a great weekend.
Thanks, Eddie. Ben, will you talk about the basic needs referral workshops now?
So I just dropped something in the chat. So we wanted to sponsor 3 warm referral workshops. So warm referral meaning when you have a discussion with a student and they have some basic needs and they're asking questions. We have 3 workshops and I want to get your feedback on them. And they're based on a level of integration. So workshop 1, there's going to be 3. Workshop 1 is intro to warm referrals. Number 2 is discussion regarding parameters for warm referral. So that could be like if the discussion gets a little deep, maybe, what are the parameters? How far should I go with this conversation? And then the 3rd one is warm referral scenarios. So that would be for people who are invested. They want to learn how to do that. That maybe they want to have those difficult discussions with students about basic needs. So give me some feedback if you could. I just want to know if that sounds interesting to you. So intro, and then like a medium level, and then the scenarios is if you're fully invested in it. And we're just putting together kind of like the panelists and the people who are going to kind of guide some of the discussions and that kind of thing. So this kind of ties in with the UH Basic Needs website, that little paragraph that you have in the syllabus, that tells students if they have basic needs, they can go to the UH Basic Needs website. And then this is sort of that extension of it, because I know sometimes it can be weird to have a conversation like that with a student, and if you want to have it, but you're not sure how to have it, that's what this is for. So just kind of let me know what you folks think about that, and then I'll kind of take that. And that might help me to kind of figure out what that would look like. And then just wanted to update you folks. So a basic needs committee has been convening for the last couple of months. Melissa Knitzer is the chair if you're interested in joining that. And we also have a 10-year plan for the UH Basic Needs Committee. So from President Lasner, Heiyo Kimoto is also on that committee, kind of leading us. And so they have a 10-year plan that they want to put in place. So UH is invested in this kind of work because we realize, especially after COVID, that we have at least 30 to 40%, but most likely more students who are having issues meeting their basic needs. So yeah, so let me know.
So if everyone would put their thoughts into the chat, which of the 3 or which one you might be interested in?
Yeah, that'll kind of help us to sort of figure out, who the audience might be and that kind of thing.
I think there was a question which was, what exactly do you mean by warm referrals?
So like I was saying, warm referral is, let's take the scenario that you're the kind of instructor that asks your students on the first day of class, is there something that's going on in your life right now that could prevent you from succeeding in my class? And then they say, I have no childcare, I have no transportation, I'm hungry, you know, and that's going to definitely affect my attention span in this class and my attendance and whatever. So the warm referral, I guess that's the part I was missing. So the warm referral is where you would hand it off, and we have an agreement from Maui Economic Opportunity as one of our partners, that you can just say, I want to refer you to Maui Economic Opportunity. Here's the phone number. Tell them what you need, and they'll help you there. And if they can't help you there, we're using them as an information hub to refer you to an agency that can help. So the warm referral is kind of like where you're handing them off. You're not just going, oh yeah, go across and up the road and take a left. You're going to say, go to MEO. Here's a phone number, and then somebody there will help you to kind of at least put a name, you know, and just if you have a person, like if you know that agency, to hook them up with a person, because a lot of times you might do a referral and then that's it, and they may never get there, and they may never get the help they need, and then they'll disappear from your class and you won't know why, and you're going to be wondering, is it me, or is it something was going on in their life? So that's kind of a quick, you know, thing on a warm referral. That's why we're talking about parameters, you know, how to have a discussion like that. How deep do you want to go? Because you don't know what's going on in their mind. You know, you don't want to get too far into it, especially if it's something that you're not trained in. And then we're going to do scenarios in the third one, you know, kind of, if you want to practice, we can practice.
Would a
Okay.
poll be better?
Sorry, I didn't hear that. What was that?
Would a poll be better? Because since we're voting on
Yeah,
this.
if somebody knows how to do it, I've never done one on here before.
I'll do the poll, and then I'm just going to, oops. I'm just gonna put 1, 2, and 3. Wait, let me just,
Yeah,
okay, wait, it takes a while for it to come up.
thanks, Joyce.
Maybe in the meantime, we can move on, and we can come back to this if that's okay. So I have.
Can I say something really quickly? This just want to give a quick shout out, and it seemed like an appropriate time. HINET, we have a couple Manoa graduate students working with HINET right now on our campus. They're in La Lima 212, and they sent out an email to come to classes and just share a short presentation. It's a really great program. They cover bus fare, gas money, essentially paying students partially to help them with college, and minimum 6 credits. So I definitely recommend, since we're all FYE, and if you're interested in just supplementing what Ben is saying, HINET can come to the class and share, and students will definitely be interested.
Yeah, it's basically we're trying to work with the Department of Human Services on assisting students to get access to SNAP and other benefits. Okay, thanks, Neil.
I'm sorry, but my thing is just spinning. So my internet is not that great. So I can't do it right now, but we can proceed and then come back to this.
A quick question, Neil, where did those students send the email? Because I didn't see it and Sam said she didn't see it either.
Give me a few minutes. I'll dig it out and I'll forward it to you, Deanna.
And then if you CC either me or Joyce, we can forward it to the group.
And Deanna, I'm gonna give you the host rights. I'm not sure why it's not coming up for me so that I can do it, you know. So I'm gonna do that, okay? Oh, just came up now. Okay, never mind.
Should we move on to the academic support group?
Yes, let's do it.
Can you guys see our screen? Oh, okay, yeah. So we're gonna, this is Kristine, and the academic support team is Kulamanu is here with us today, Helelani, and Kealii and me. So we're gonna talk to you a little bit today about academic support. We've made a few changes, and we've also made some changes with how we communicate with students. We moved from My Success, some of you might recognize the My Success, to using Star Balance. So we're going to talk you through that whole process and how we're trying to tie it all together. Okay, without further ado, who's on this slide? Let's see, I can't remember.
It's me.
Yes, sorry.
Okay, if you can click the present mode, Kristine.
Oh yeah, sorry about that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, there you go. Oh, there we go.
Aloha, everyone. This is Helelani, or again, some of you might know me as Stephanie, but Helelani is my Hawaiian name. So I wanted to spend a little bit of time to first talk to you folks about our logo and what it means to us. It's important. And then I'm also going to pass it to two of our Kako'o mentors who are joining us today, Alyssa and Hunter, who will kind of share more about the kinds of activities they've been doing this past semester and some plans for the end of the semester. So first, our logo was, it means a lot to us. It was created by one of our Hawaiian Studies kumu, and it represents I don't know if you guys can see me, but like how we're all blending together. So our 3 units kind of coming together, and then but by us collaborating and combining together, we then created or birthed this thing known as Kāko'o, which is our support services for students. And so together as a hui, the 3 units, Ho'okahua, TLC, and the library, we hope to support our students or Kāko'o our students, and then also expand our services to meet the needs of our students. So really, in a sense, students can come to us at any point in their journey, and we're here to help them. So with that, I'm going to pass it to Alyssa, who can share kind of the services that we've been providing this semester, and then Hunter can maybe share a little bit about some of the events, and then I'll just chime in if there's anything to add. So mahalo, you guys. And if you folks can share your major and then what you help with, like what do you tutor or support?
Aloha, my name is Alyssa, and I am currently a Kāko'o member, but I also work in the library. We used to be tech tutors, but now we go under Kāko'o, although we still do everything that we used to do as tech tutors. So basically some of the services that we provide is we have printing services both in the library and in Kāko'o. So students can either email us anything that they need to print and we can have it ready for them to pick up if they're in a hurry, or they can just come by and print. Both in Kāko'o and the library is, I think, 20 pages free per day. We also provide assistance with Laulima, like any Google apps, Microsoft products. So if students are having problems like navigating Laulima, they don't know how to upload an assignment, they don't know how to see what assignments they have, we can help them with that as well. Yeah.
Thank you, Alyssa. And then, of course, there's the printing and stuff in the Learning Center too. And then the tutoring is virtually or in person this semester. And actually, it's kind of like half and half. Half of the students want to come in person and half of them want it virtually. So it's nice that we have support available for them. Hunter, if you want to share about some of the events that we've been doing.
Aloha, my name is Hunter. I'm from Kulamanu. I'm currently majoring in my AA in liberals. I'm a Kāko'o mentor. I tutor primarily English, writing, and history. Regarding the event regarding events with Kāko'o, we want to establish a sense of community here on our campus as we receive feedback from students who attended our events prior that felt there was a loss of sense of community on our campus, and they felt a little bit anxious to connect with other students in the events with pandemic and all that stuff. So really, we're more than just a support service. We also want to bring students together and help build those relationships, help build them, become their own advocates. And yeah, that's all I have to share. Thank you.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Hunter. And our social media has future events, and that's where we usually post like what's going on in our space. So, tell students to follow us. Mahalo, I'm gonna pass it on. Next slide, I think Kealii.
I'm going to show you the faculty. I'm going to show everybody how we access our appointments, how students access the tutoring services through Kako'o. I'm going to share. Can I share screen? So our tutoring services is schedulable through Star Balance. Faculty, I think when you log in, you might not be able to see the schedule, but I'll show you from a student's perspective of what it looks like. So when the students log in, they'll get to this home screen here, a pop-up window that'll show the students how to access the scheduler and how to find tutoring appointments. This was made by one of our Kako'o members, Garrett.
And there's a weekly schedule on the right side, and services available to you in this left column. Click on the plus in the Tutoring, Tech, and Learning Centers tab. Click on the circle next to UHMC Kako'o Support. Select a tutor by clicking on the box next to their name and their listed subjects. You will see their availability on the calendar located on the right side of the screen. If there are no appointments available during the current week, you may view their future availability by clicking on the right arrowhead at the top of the screen. To book your appointment, select the day and time. When you click on a specific time, a small window will appear. The subjects that a tutor covers will be listed in this window, along with the duration of the appointment. Enter your name if you're a UH student with a UH account. You may also enter your name and your email if you are not a UH student. Scroll down to select a reason for your appointment. You may also select your attendance type. You may meet with your tutor on Zoom or in person if that option is available. You may include the details of what you need assistance with under step 3. Click in the box to agree to the UH policy that you are vaccinated for COVID or you have taken a COVID test in the prior week. When you are finished, click on the blue Submit button on the bottom right. You will receive a confirmation email with all of the information regarding your appointment. Bring in a course material that will help you succeed in your tutoring session, including but not limited to your class syllabus and class schedule, any lecture notes, homework questions, and study guides. You may also use this guide to schedule an appointment with your academic advisor. Mahalo.
Okay, so this is our back end, but let me show you guys what it looks like from a student side. So right now you can see that there are appointments here available and different slots that are open. And the red parts are the ones that are booked. For students, the cool thing about Star Balance is that it's connected to their registration system through Star GPS, correct, right? So what happens is we match their course with their specific support tutor. So for example, I don't have any courses listed, but if I did, this dropdown will have all the courses that I have. Right now, these are the broad categories we have for support. So if we click on any of these individual topic areas, as you can see, the screen will repopulate with the available appointment slots for that particular section. Some of the cool things about Star Balance, and I'll show this from an instructor's perspective with regarding your office hours, is Star Balance is connected to your individual Zoom accounts when you have access to it. What's really cool about Star Balance is we don't have to remake those Zoom links every single time. Whenever we make an appointment, oh, sorry, I'm in the past. Okay. Whenever we make an appointment, we can choose, the different options for, so for example, this tutor on this day only does tutoring via Zoom. But if the tutor actually did Zoom or in person, there'd be an additional option there. But what's cool about this is that it automatically creates the Zoom session for that appointment. And it's only private to the tutor and the student who made that appointment as well. So there's no need to have to remember what Zoom link you sent out. The student gets an email with that Zoom link, and then they can go and immediately jump into the appointment without having to worry about what's the member number or the passcode and all this thing. So a lot of that backend stuff is automated. And one thing that's cool about Star Balance, I don't know if any of you faculty have used Star Balance for your own office hours. But if you look, I'll show you this backend right here. So if you guys log into Star Balance /appointment/advisor, you'll get to a screen that only shows your particular instructor office hours. So each of these office hours here, all this is the faculty because I have like a larger view, but each of these individual appointment slots have an option to create these appointment spots. So you guys can go into Star Balance, make your appointment slots, and then have your Zoom configured to automatically meet with those students whenever those times are available for you. Yeah, that's pretty much it. You guys have any questions about Star Balance and the scheduler and how we use it?
Hey, Kealii, this is Deanna.
Hey, Deanna.
So I've known about Star Balance for instructor office hours because as a Manoa student, I've seen that, right, from my instructor. It's obvious it's not set up, right? So I'm wondering how widely is it used by our instructors to do office hours?
Well, I think like within the last year, it was more public where there was more features with scheduling added in. Pandemic caused the development team to integrate the Zoom to it. Since the last year, all these different features, these automated features have been enhanced from what it was previously. So previously it was just a schedule like a Google Calendar where you just put an appointment slot. But now we got some of those automated features where your Zoom links are automatically created. That communication is sent directly to the student. So they have that link to click on in their appointment.
And is the Zoom link like, so if I did an appointment, like a student made an appointment with me, is it my Zoom link or is it a different?
Your Zoom link, yep.
It is, okay,
yeah.
Great.
So everybody, well, the one requirement to connect your Zoom is that everybody has to have their own Zoom registered account. Ideally, it's one of the Zoom accounts that you get licensed from the university. The only downside with that is our student assistants aren't able to get pro Zoom accounts. So if they need to meet with multiple students at one time, they would have to use another pro account. Their own account is a basic account, and I don't think there are any licenses to upgrade student assistance accounts right now, because that would be a huge number, right? But the way you would do is once you go into your Star Balance, there's little gear right here is where you open up the configuration for your Zoom account. Click on video conference. And there'll be a prompt here. So right now I'm already linked, but if you don't have it linked, you'll have a little button that says link account, and then it'll have you be logged into Zoom. And then you'll give, what that does, it gives Star Balance permissions to be able to add appointments to your calendar and to create those Zoom links automatically.
Hey, Kealii, this is Eric.
Eric.
I have a quick question. As we navigate students toward the tutoring, would you imagine, like, for example, on my Laulima site, I currently have a link to TLC tutoring, you know, within your website. What would you recommend in terms of how we navigate students when an instructor is recommending that they schedule a tutoring session?
Okay, right now, the best portal that we have that has like direct links where they don't have to go and find it would be the Kako'o website. That's maui.hawaii.edu/Kako'o. If you click on the tutoring services right here, the student is redirected directly to our tutoring schedule for Maui College. So when they click on it, they log in, it'll just show our individual tutors. Right now in Star Balance, there's no way to create profiles, but what we do is have them direct to Kako'o, and here are all the tutors and staff that we have and their subject areas. And it'll kind of be similar when you find it in Star Balance when you look under the tutoring. There's not much information we can provide in here other than just like what you see right there. They're like character limits, but mainly it'll kind of have the name and the general subject areas for that particular student. So to redirect students to the services, the schedule services, have them go to Kako'o, maui.hawaii.edu/Kako'o, click on the tutoring services to get to the scheduler. In addition to the other services we have, you know, if students need to rent their technology, we have direct links through this Kako'o portal site. We also have links to the room scheduler if the students need one-on-one private rooms or they need private space to do their work on campus.
So the tutoring services links goes to the Star Balance scheduler? Okay, great.
So kind of like this, it just goes directly to Kako'o. Okay, pass it on to Kristine.
I think I'm next.
Oh, I'll pass it on to Kulamanu.
So we are trying to also work so that faculty can become schedulers directly with Kako'o mentors as well. So we're still working out those kinks though. And all right, so we'll go back to our presentation and we're just to honor everybody's time, we're gonna kind of fly through the next couple slides. I think we're already at time. So the early alert, as you folks know, it's also encompassed through the STAR services. We started in spring 2021 with a pilot, and we did also continue it in fall 2021. We've given you some basic stats from our responses, and we're trying to figure out how to roll it out to the next level in regards to making sure that we communicate back to you folks what services or what interventions were provided to the students. And so this is still very much a work in progress, but wanted to just give you some preliminary information. We also kind of wanted to know how you folks felt if you used it, and then, or if you used it, if you could participate in our poll that's dropped in the chat. Kristine had just put it in under the form link. So, or do you want to click it off from this presentation? Folks could take part in that poll for us, that would be really good. Just wanting to get some preliminary feedback if it works, if it's hard to use or you didn't engage with it.
Yeah, so I dropped the poll in the chat, and if you can, sorry Kulamanu, I was on mute. If you could just make sure you just take the poll, and then we can come back to this and I'll show you. We just want to get a feel for where you're at, but because of time's sake, I'll come back. So we'll go on.
And then just to address the chat, there was a question about why there was no consider withdrawing. the basic truth is we were trying to figure out how to work the tool to meet our needs. And so it's a negotiation because it's a system tool. And so we do need to negotiate with other campuses, and it will be available this coming spring. So I apologize that we didn't have it this semester, but it will be for spring. Go ahead, you're on, Kristine.
Yeah, so we added it back on here. As I said, as Kulamanu said, we were having problems. I also don't know where these stars, came from. So I'm not gonna worry about it right now. We wanted to lay out in this side how we're trying to connect students to services. So we still feel really strongly that that we just wanna make sure we get the services in front of students at the right time. And sometimes when we front load it all in the beginning, like at the welcome, students really aren't anticipating having problems or some of the things they might go through. So we want to make sure that at different points throughout the semester, we're kind of reaching out to directly to them or to you to kind of get then supports that we have in front of them so they can see them and hopefully use them. So this first outreach 1 and 2 is something we did new this spring. These were emoji check-ins that we sent to students in these weeks, and they were super simple. They just had week 3 had 4 emojis, and basically if you weren't smiling, you had we sent you a follow-up email that triggered us to reach out to you to connect you with our services. And same within week 5. Again, these would be, we thought this is in line with how courses kind of ramp up and as the semester goes on. In week 6, you guys, the early alert survey goes out through a STAR campaign as well. This goes directly to faculty, and based on your response and how you respond to it, triggers the outreach 3 and 4. Outreach 3, which happens in week 7, is automatic. It happens when you submit your survey. Students, depending on what you clicked, students get an automatic response. And again, you can see how it's nice when they have they have an opportunity to meet with you. You can recommend meeting with tutors. You can recommend meeting with advisors. So those 3 meeting points, are all doable or available in one spot in STAR, right? In faculty, if faculty use their faculty office hours. So I can see where they're headed about trying to drive people to this and to these support services and how you make appointments with people in a one-stop shop. In weeks 8 and 9, because it takes us a little bit longer to process the data, and this is something we have to work on with STAR, we have to figure out a better way for this. But in 8 and 9, we take the students you deemed at risk, and we're counseling and TLC are reaching out to them. But like I said, this is a little bit difficult because of the information you get. You literally get a banner ID. And from that, working back to information that you can get a phone number, you can get an email to call out to them is very difficult. I mean, you can do it, but it takes hours. And so we have to create some kind of reports or something. There has to be a way. It's super easy stuff. Paul could do it in a second, but what Paul could do, we don't have access to as much. So anyways, and then week 9 is, we're going to put back the withdrawal in here again. So that's going to happen around week 9, and that coordinates with the withdrawal deadline for the UH system. Okay, we're way over, so I don't know. I'm sorry about that. I'm so sorry, the rest of you, but this is how we sort of envision, as Helelani said, the Kako'o mentors and tutors are available all throughout the whole semester to students. They start working with students before, and then we want to coordinate sort of this academic support sort of semester timeline, where we're kind of working with faculty to sort of partner on some of our events. For example, this fall, we're working with math, and we're going to be reaching out to some faculty for researching and writing to help in a like a week 14, getting ready to submit your final projects or gearing up to get ready for preparing for finals. Okay, that's it. Any questions you want to ask very quickly?
Thank you, Kristine. I'm going to launch the poll right now for the basic needs referral training sessions. But while we're doing that, we can go ahead and get started with, so just answer it, which ones you would like to attend or interested in. Okay, perfect.
And do you want me to show real quick our poll? I can.
Okay.
Do you want to see it?
Yep.
I don't know if people want to. Oh, and I also don't know if nothing can ever be quick.
You know what? We can
I'm
show them
sorry.
all at the end. If
Yeah.
you guys want. We can
Yeah,
show them
yeah,
all
that's
very
fine.
good.
Okay, so now let's get going on our Kaʻao. Taopuri Tangaro is here. Maybe you can start off with your group.
Hi, aloha, can you hear me fine?
I can hear you, great, thank you.
Hi, aloha, and nice to be part of your team again as we begin to grow Kaʻao. You know, I'm just gonna, Kaʻao is, you know, we wanna try and normalize the process as part of our, part of our academic language systems. You know, when we looked at assessment, you know, when I started college, nobody talked about assessment in the way we're looking at assessment now, the culture of assessment, the culture of evidence. That was introduced, and now it's normalized. And so we're hitting, it's the same thing with Kaʻao. It's being used by many campuses, and it's even gotten to the mainland, and people are beginning to use that in the healing works, in substance abuse, in all kinds of healing systems, and locally, state, and in fact, maybe some of you are part of that discussion also, as well as the mokaulele things that we do, that, you know, we bring Kaʻao to the world. Again, it's simply just a framework. And why is a framework important? It's two things. It's your story in a framework. And how is that framework, why is that framework important? That framework is important because it gives us, it's about building relationships. It allows us to gauge where people are in their personal take of their journey. It allows us to share our stories or our experiences within a framework that students will be familiar with. So, you know, oftentimes we have this experience and we have this experience, but we don't have the framework. We don't have the bridge that sort of puts us shoulder to shoulder. Oftentimes in what we do, the students come and they already feel under par. And whether you're a counselor or an instructor, if you work at the university, that means you're really smart and you're possibly really rich, and I'm nothing like you, and I'm gonna learn from you. What Kaʻao does, it equalizes the relationship. It puts you shoulder to shoulder with the people you serve, so that they can begin to see themselves in your position. They can begin to see themselves in your leadership or even beyond you. But also, Kaʻao services you because it requires that you go back and remember what we put on the side long time ago. We've become such, you know, our profession is forever evolving. We're forever moving. And if anything, COVID has just kind of doubled the evolution of things. And we found out that there's a lot of energy in us that we didn't know we had unless we were pressured to bring it forward. Kaʻao is about you also. So it's not just about student development for the first year experience. It's about that. But Kaʻao requires or invites you to remember your own stories, your own journeys. That's what our students are looking for. They want to know how you and I are alike. They're less concerned with where you're from in the world and if you're Hawaiian or not. They're more concerned is with your story. what is your journey and how are we similar? How are we different? And that's what Kaʻao does. And we deliver Kaʻao many ways, through the FYE, through the advising. You've already, in fact, you folks started it. So that piece. So I'm not going to preach there. But how do you put Kaʻao in the practical, curricula kinds of activities? I see a number of people that I've worked with here. And I do know that this 30-minute piece, it might be a little shortened with time, will have other people share their experience. So what I'm going to put out to you is my invitation to have you contact me or work through Joyce. That's, you guys are lucky to have that bridge. Contact Joyce. She puts us on a spreadsheet. She gives me an idea of where you're working on, and that prepares me to help you better. Let's have a conversation, because you'll be surprised how permeable Kaʻao is, the process in what you already do. And the chances are you don't have to overhaul anything. Where is there an initiative that allows you to move in the way you're familiar with without overhauling much, and just bringing something in that comes in grafts really well and supports what you're doing? Kaʻao is that. Those of you that have been trained in Kaʻao, and I think you already on your campus have a number of people that have worked with me for curricula development, advising ideas, building Kaʻao in student support systems, because sometimes, depending on the program the student is in, there is no room in the curriculum there's not too much wiggle space. So in that situation, we build Kaʻao in the student services, in their dorming, in the culture of living on campus, in some of the extra, their excursions and things like that. But I'm gonna leave it with you. I would really like for you to, obviously you're leaning toward Kaʻao, and if you're unfamiliar how to use it, then give me a call, because the chances are it's closer to home than you think. And sometimes you just got to trigger some of and I'm kind of creative in how I think. So I just need your trigger. My creation doesn't work unless you trigger it. So trigger it, and you'll be surprised what comes forward. Some of you have been doing Kaʻao for a while, so we might have to take it up one. You were in the hua for a bit, in the awareness. Now we need to develop. But how do you, and then I'll let the rest of I think we have 3 people on this piece that can share what they did with Kaʻao. And we had hospitality, we had nursing, we had English. I mean, even Kaʻao in the utilization of pidgin English to teach students standard English. It's fun and it's limitless. But the thing is, so long we use Kaʻao, the framework, in many ways, so that no matter what way the student is looking at, in every place the student goes, they know that we're impressing on them the need for them to be aware of their journey and the quality of their journey, and don't lose themselves on the journey. To adults, we get lost in our journey, and sometimes we spend years spinning. So how to get out of that tornado of sorts and continue on our journey. So it's a real life, it's a value that will follow us way beyond the college experience. So why don't we have the other people, Joyce, share their experiences? And again, please contact me, work through Joyce. Again, you don't have to recreate the book of Genesis to get this going. It's right there. And it's quite fun to use and to explore. Thank you.
Okay, Liping, will you share your screen? Thank you so much, Taopuri.
Mahalo, Dr. Tangarō. Okay, I will share my screen here. Right here. Okay. Present mode. You can all see, hopefully. Aloha, everyone. I'm Liping Liu, Program Coordinator for Hospitality and Tourism. In the next few minutes, I will share with you the ways in which I integrated elements of the Kaʻao framework in my teaching philosophy, which shaped my pedagogy and andragogy, if you will. I also share with you a few samples of our students' work and feedback. My colleague Lorelle Paris will speak to the framework integration to her classes and also the design for our Hospitality Academy of Maui teaching lab. Lorelle is not able to join us in this session, but she recorded alerted presentation. So I will show that it's the same presentation here. Finding my Kāʻao, that's the first segment. And the second is the host curriculum integration. And the last one is the Half Maui teaching lab. I myself and our program have benefited enormously from Dr. Tangaro's work in guiding students through the path for self-discovery. I myself find Dr. Tangaro's work to be particularly useful in finding my own hua and identify Halele and Hoakai and Hoina. Born and raised in China and grew up during the era of Cultural Revolution, I was one of the lucky kids who was able to find the path and realize dreams. I'm not going to read those quotes. And really, I realized teaching is my calling. So I love what Dr. Tangaro put it. The Kāʻao framework is the equalizer. It's everybody has stories to share, but this is the start. We can get much better connected with our students. So oftentimes I tell students my love affair with hospitality tourism industry started when I was 21, fresh graduate from college. Then I was pushed to lead a team to build work and really shape the tourism landscape in late 1980s. Anyway, my life trajectory and put me to another turn. That's my rites of passage. So I started to pursue a graduate degree and moved to the United States. And I want to be a teacher, always want to be a teacher. And I realized during the time I get trained and work in different segments and fields in the hospitality tourism industry, but I said I want to get my doctorate degree in order to be able to teach at the college in the United States. So here I am. In the process, looking for my own teaching philosophy and to who I am, and I've, in connection with going to the source when you're in doubt, and I've learned this Molaha method really resonated with me. And so I designed my courses under this 4 pillars over the years, and students seem like benefit from those results. I don't know how familiar and everybody familiar with this work. This is basically, it's my Kāʻao path lead me to search deeper to find the way I want to teach and particularly suit our students' needs and conditions. In integrating those kind of learning strategies, I have those tools learned from various of workshops and from Dr. Tangaro, and really integrated into various courses. Like Dr. Tangaro mentioned, this is not just the intro FYE courses, including our intro classes, operational classes, and the management classes all the way through their whole journey with us. So our host learning outcomes, and here speaks to our objectives, and end of the program, students supposed to have all these skills and competences and prepare for employment. So specific courses, I have a link here. Later, I can share the PowerPoint, the slides link in one of the management of beverage and food operation classes. We had that use Aloha Aila based learning, so students find that they can relate so much better. And also for our Host 280 hospitality management class, integrated into hands-on experiences, mostly, okay, this is one of the student quote. It's called Lay Project is leadership experiences and inspiration project. This is a statewide hospitality tourism programs workforce development. Students find that this kind of authentic experiences really train them to think and act like managers, and they find it beneficial. And another course is our study abroad international internships. Student came home transformed and really feel this course not only challenged them to gain the skills needed in the industry, and most importantly, to teach them how to interact with different culture.
Aloha everyone,
Okay, next is Lorelle's presentation, and let me click the audio right here.
Aloha everyone, I'm Lorelle Peros. In the slides ahead, I will share with you additional ways in how we have integrated elements of the Kaʻao framework in our hospitality classes. The Kaʻao framework is the foundation on which we are continually building upon in our hospitality and tourism program. In our Host 100 Career and Customer Service class, the Kaʻao framework is introduced with a specific focus on one's hua. What is your hua? Why are you here at UH Maui College? Why do you want to earn a degree? What are your goals? For this particular class, one of the SLOs is to create a career path to meet individual goals. Therefore, as one of the assignments, students take the Focus 2 assessments, a web-based major and career exploration tool that provides a complete picture of students' interests, values, personality, and skills using self-assessment questionnaires. Wayne Aguiran, our counselor, introduces this tool to the class and provides information to get started on the assessments. Students are then required to make an appointment to discuss their results with a counselor. Most of the students in the past semesters have either met with Wayne or Eri to discuss their results, career opportunities, and next steps. After the students meet with a counselor, they write a reflection that includes 2 takeaways that they have gained as a result of their online assessments and their follow-up meeting, and potential career paths they would consider pursuing and steps to take to achieve their career goals. This is an excerpt from a student's reflection. He had returned to school and already had solid years of work experience behind him. As you can see, this assessment validated his career goals. Here is feedback from another student on the opposite end, her first semester here at UH Maui College with very limited work experience. As you can see, the Focus 2 assessment also validated her career goals. In a follow-up assignment, students then document their career goals using the SMART tool as a guide. For our Host 293 Hospitality Internship class, students complete their 225 hours of industry work, where they continue their journey. Leadership and teamwork is put to the test. They experience challenges, success, and transformation as they connect with industry leaders and continue to prepare for their careers in the hospitality industry. As we've developed the Hospitality Academy of Maui lab, we are working on integrating the Kaʻao framework as the theme. This lab, where future hospitality classes will be held, is where students in our hospitality and tourism program will begin their journey and work toward achieving their dreams. Along the way, through commitment, experiences, accomplishments, and obstacles that will be overcome, they will be transformed. The hua, the dream, is represented by the color yellow, optimism and happiness. Ha'alele, the commitment, represented by blue, stability and responsibility. Huaka'i, the journey, represented by the color green, balance and growth. Ho'ina, the result, represented by orange, success, enthusiasm, transformation, and the return. As you can see, the conceptual graphics on the walls are shown there, and they are a work in progress. The wall of words will be included as well as students return and share their journey of transformation. As you can see, the wall graphics depict our students' journey with the Kaʻao framework as the foundation. Mahalo for the opportunity to share our story with you today. Aloha everyone, I'm
Okay,
Lorelle
that's it. Let me, okay, stop sharing.
Thank you, Lippy.
Yeah. Thank you.
Tom and Derek will be sharing next. Thank you.
Aloha, everyone, and thank you so much for the opportunity. We'll just briefly share. There's a lot of things to share, but we're going to keep it to a very small amount of ways that we incorporate the Kaʻao framework into our learning community. And I just want to acknowledge first Dr. Tangarō and also Hokulani Holt in just sharing out their mana'o and just their helping us to understand how maybe we can integrate Kaʻao into what we're already doing. I think that's such an important part of it. And for me, it's really about the connection to students, understanding the student's story, understanding their struggle, understanding their hua, the student understanding the teacher's hua, and just really seeing our jobs as teaching faculty beyond just delivery of content, beyond just our student learning objectives, but what role can we play in the student's journey in higher education and beyond, returning back into their communities as change agents. So I'm going to let Tom share a little bit about the learning community and how that is an important part of bringing math curriculum and English curriculum together.
Yeah, aloha all, and thanks everybody. It's a kind of a small clique we have here, FYE, and we tend to see each other all over the place. It's really fabulous. Derek and I actually were invited years ago to be on our buddy Amir's Stimulate grant, and we kind of did this sort of work with Upward Bound, and it was really fabulous work to integrate STEM into teaching and into the DOE here in Hawaii. So this is kind of a neat kind of follow on these learning communities that have come up. Derek and I think the same way. We teamed up. We kind of knew each other from already working together here. And a lot of people wouldn't think putting together a statistics class and English class would make a lot of sense, but it really does. And again, the connection, right? The hua. That's the first thing most of our students do now, right? They tell us their hua. I always had a bio that I had my students do, but it really never really made sense. The hua totally makes sense. And it helps me when I'm delivering content to deliver it the way they need it for what they're going to go study or what they're interested in. Let's see if we can flip, Derek. Yeah, so again, we have a commuter campus. It's tough to make those connections, really tough. My wife and I are faculty advisors to a club, thinking, hey, that's as big of a way as we can make to bring some fabric to keep people here and interested in some things. And this learning community totally aligned with all of that. And Derek and I are even now talking about trying to get a third leg, maybe an ICS 101 or maybe some kind of nursing bio or chem or some kind of target audience to do 3 of these classes to connect. So they'd have 3 of us at the same time. And back to Derek. Good to see you guys.
Yeah, I just want to touch on a little bit of how these 2 courses integrate, but I just want to emphasize the fact that what we're trying to do is bring students closer to each other and just to make those connections. And so they see the connection between the content as Tom prepares them for research methodologies, quantitative, qualitative research. Then they come into my class where they're doing research papers, and there's this bridge between the 2 classes. But really the connections happen when I even contact with students, and Tom and I are talking about their progress in each class, and I'm meeting about a student's paper in English, but also checking up to say that, my understanding is you might be falling a little bit behind in your math class. Be sure to check in with Tom and follow up with him. And so I think those connections are really important. So this slide is really, I think, the essence of what we want to get across. And I took these questions from a presentation back in January that many of you probably attended, but they really spoke to me and affirmed some of the things I was already doing, and Tom and I have been kind of doing in these other endeavors, is talking about, do we appreciate the struggles students have? How will we assist the students in their journey, not just in terms of the learning objectives of our classes, but beyond that, really transcending just the content of our classes. And how do we direct those students to the people and the tools and the social capital they need to succeed? And what relationships are we helping to foster in our classes? And so if you look on the right-hand side, one of the things that I have been doing, and Tom and I have talked about, and he's doing a lot of individual conferencing with students in his classes too, is just getting to know our students. I conference with my students more than ever now, especially in the pandemic. Zoom has made it so much easier to do outreach and proactively do outreach hours versus the traditional office hours model. So stronger connections to students. I understand their struggles more, one through their writing, but also getting a chance to talk about those struggles beyond, after class or during these special meetings. And I think importantly, you're seeing when students are engaged, even if they fall behind in the work, because they have built this relationship with each other, because they built the relationship with the teacher, they're more willing to kind of persevere, get back into the mix. And really also it affords us the time in these individual conferences, if they're struggling, to do that kind of connection to the resources they might need. Maybe it's counseling, maybe it's financial aid, maybe it's some of the specialized funding that's come through in the COVID times. But there's a lot more student-to-student interaction as well. And I think these types of components are important. And that's where I think this kind of the huaka'i, this sense of, the students really understanding who they are as a college student is so much beyond the content, and really understanding they have a place in this environment. And really the way that they succeed is by building these connections. And what role do we have as teaching faculty to connect our classes, whether that's math and English, which students sometimes do not see any connection with, whether it's the connection to our hua as a teacher or connection to resources on campus. And then the one thing too, last point, is that, teacher collaboration. Tom and I have a lot of meetings throughout the semester where we're talking about students who might be struggling. And are they struggling in your class, or are they just struggling in my class? And so I think I feel such a sense of engagement with students when I can meet with them one-on-one, that I get to know them. And really at the end of the semester, not every student succeeds, but I can tell you that by meeting with them throughout the semester, that Tom and I know exactly what happened and why they didn't succeed, and can encourage them to retake the class, or to really, talk about strategies that can help them succeed in the future. So that's where we'll end. Thank you so much for the opportunity to present.
Thank you all. Let's move on to the career exploration with Wayne and Julie and Eri.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Just really quickly, I know we're a little bit behind time, but I'm just so appreciative of Dr. Tangarō, and just career exploration and this career development happens all throughout the Kaʻao framework. And so I'm just so happy how it blends together. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna have Julie share, and then also Liana created a video, and Mike will also share and see, have this, one of the tools that we use is, like Lorelle said, is the Focus 2. And Focus 2 is just only a tool to help students throughout the Kaʻao framework. And so let's see here. Julie, you wanna speak on these?
Sure. So our practices that we infuse are based on NACE. NACE is the National Association of Colleges and Employers. So this particular organization, if you click on the link, will take you to the website that provides a lot of information about career development and career resources. As you can see, there are 8 competencies that NACE requires as part of career development to help students acclimate professional skills in their future careers. Doesn't matter what career. It just says, these are the 8 things that we feel college students need to have. And hopefully by the time they leave college, they'll have all those skills. That being said, we combined it with our next slide, which is high impact practices. So based on career technical education and a lot of research, there are 6 high impact practices. And we link them to, well, what are those high impact practices? Number 1 being writing intensive. And you can see the rest. I'm not going to read them all because I'm concerned about time. But if you click onto our high impact practices, I created a Google worksheet trying to categorize these high impact practices, give you some suggestions for you to look at, and maybe some video resources to implement or infuse into your classwork. It doesn't take a whole bunch of time. It's just to get our students to think and prepare and dream about, what is this career job I want to get into? And I want to be mindful that a lot of our students, you know, I'll give you an example. One student wanted to be Secret Service. And I was explaining to the student that, you know, that would require for you to move away from Hawaii. And would that be okay with you? And the student was like, oh, absolutely not. So, you know, they had to pivot. And so this is why I'm saying location has a lot to do with where students want to reside, what their comfort level is, you know, how big their dream is and where they want to be. So if you can, you know, like tailor it to what you feel is best needed. The links in the big or small items are some videos that we as Career Center campus colleagues from across the system, we kind of just help to explain what informational interviews, but we don't want to tell you everything what you need to do. We just want to tell you, hey, how we align and how we can all help our students with career development. For those of you who are researchers, come up with mini research tools or examples on what it might mean to be a mathematician, what are jobs in those career fields or whatever that is. And so that's really what we have to share. And then our last slide is about how we integrate employability skills. And these are, you know, purposes, how we go about doing that, how we look at standards, how we look at our curriculum, and how we infuse career development. And I don't want to leave out work-based learning and the work that I do with helping students to gain these real life experiences. We all know, even in our own lives and our own walks, that those experiences in and of itself have really helped us to grow into the professionals we are today. So how do we mimic that? You know, so there's both of these high practices and what NACE says, and you can create your mini lessons throughout your class and see what or how you can do that. And we're glad to work with you or help you depending on your thoughts and ideas. So that's all I have to share. Thanks, folks.
Awesome. Thank you, Julie. And again, like what Julie said, we're here to just give a framework with career development and NACE and the Kaʻao framework. And we just want you as the instructor to just be creative and implement this within your own context. And so as we heard Lorelle, and Liana is not here to present, but she made a video, and I just liked how she tied in the Kaʻao framework, the career in her own setting, in her own context. And here's the video.
Aloha Kāko'o, I'm Liana Horovitz, and I teach world history classes here at UH Maui College. And I was asked to share how I use career exploration in my FYE classes. And I just finished a genogram project with my History 151 students that our counselor, Wayne Aguiran, helped me to develop. So that's the one I thought I would share with you today. And I tie this into a unit on Vedic India and the caste system that developed in South Asia. And so during this unit, we take a look at the ways that different kinship groups that were later associated with occupation served to help support this community. And devotion to the idea of dharma, duty to their community and to their family, and the certainty of retribution or karma kind of held this caste system together for such a long time. And with this idea of dharma in the Vedic caste system, there were no sort of absolutes of right and wrong, but all was kind of decided according to social rank and kinship and different stages of life. And the caste system defined one's place in the cycle of rebirth and return to sort of the world's soul, the Brahman. And this, of course, was all written down in the legal text, the laws of Manu. And emphasis was placed on communal interests rather than individual interests. So I sort of talk about this with my students and talk about the sort of three pillars of Vedic Indian society: the village, the caste, and the extended family. And then we spend time discussing the merits and the drawbacks of this social and societal organization, and whether we have an unofficial or maybe official caste system in our own society. So I try to also connect the concept of Dharma to Kuleana, a term that many of our students are familiar with. And I ask them to create a particular version of a mo'oku'auhau, or a genealogy. And again, connecting this idea that the branches grow because of the trunk. Without our ancestors, we wouldn't be here. And for this project, that's in conjunction with our unit on Vedic India and an exploration into the topics of caste and Dharma and genealogy, I let them know they'll explore their family history to see the types of careers that could influence their choices. And I asked them to interview family members and friends to put together a visual representation from both sides of the family if they can. And I let them know that everybody's family tree will look very different. But I asked them to try to find out places of origin and languages spoken at home, migration and movement patterns, education levels in their families and different occupations. And I want them to sort of trace these roots to see what types of careers and education have had an influence on their own individual evolution. And some of them put together very beautiful.
And so that is just a teaser that we have. And we're gonna send you the link for the whole video. But again, it's I just love how she used her context in history and tied it with the genogram and have students reflect within their own career and their history and how they, again, reflect on it using Focus 2 and having students come. And one of the important things that she said is a student said, you know, and I told her that just the Focus 2 is just a tool to start a discussion, and the results, you know, it's very important for the student then to meet with a counselor, a career practitioner, to dissect the results and to end with the action steps to that. It's like taking your blood test and not seeing the doctor and having an action plan. And so we just want to encourage that. And next up, I just would like to, again, invite Mike to talk a little bit on how he uses career in his class. Go ahead, Mike.
Okay. Aloha, everybody. Thank you, Wayne, for inviting me. So I'm Mike Takemoto, and I teach visual arts and mostly studio classes. So some things, you know, I just want to touch on is that because my classes are literally 3 hours long, you know, I really get to know my students, I think, fairly well. And, you know, having this connection, I think, is real important. My classes are face-to-face at the same time. So that's been really helpful. In the visual arts, we do have an academic subject certificate, which is 18 credits. And this is part of the liberal arts associate's degree. And so, I mean, this is kind of really at the beginning stage, I think, of students in their career paths. I often encourage them to continue their education either at Manoa or University of Hawaii Hilo, and many have continued to do that. Another option students have is being entrepreneurial, and sometimes they create their own businesses based on, you know, the classes that they've taken here at the college or inspired by that. And we've had a few students as well that have gone on to, you know, make their careers as, you know, visual artists, you know, without continuing their education. So there is that, you know, definite possibility if they want to leave the island or if they want to stay and continue and grow. As far as art students go, we do try to have art exhibits so they can get an experience of what it's like to set up an art show, to display their works, what that entails. We've also been able to have the Maui Open Studios, which is like a live island-wide event open to different artists and art organizations. It's on for 3 weekends, and there's a brochure and map that comes out, and visitors are encouraged to go and visit all different galleries and all artists as well. So we open up our studios for that. And last year was canceled. This year we're going to have it again in 22. So when that happens, please come by and visit as well. Another thing I want to mention is that some of our students, especially in ceramics, they just love to have the studio being accessible. I mean, they do their assignments, but we've got students that have been coming back for like 10 years, which I think is pretty incredible, because they love the instructors and they love to have the space to work on. And again, these students, they do their work. Often I see them at the swap meet or something, trying to selling their work and building up their careers that way. One thing that I think is really important that our art classes really teach or strive to teach is creative problem solving processes. And this is going to be so helpful for them in their future careers. I mean, it doesn't have to be an art career, but if they can think creatively and solve problems creatively, I think that's might be one of the greatest gifts that we can give them, so that they can continue to follow on through their education and through their lives by coming up with unique and different solutions, to whatever problems that life throws at them. So it's a really overall thing. Art is the focus, but living your life, surviving in your life, and growing, as a human, I think is the most important thing, that we can offer as far as our career opportunities go. I think that's all I have to say for now, unless you have any questions or comments or anything. And again, mahalo for inviting me. I'm so honored to be part of this presentation. And sorry, I don't have a fancy slideshow or a video to show you.
That was perfect. Thank you, Mike. And again, I'm going to have Julie close up, but I just wanted to add one thing is that, we all can incorporate career in what you are already doing. Just like the Kaʻao framework that Dr. Tangarō said, like the career, the Kaʻao framework, man, just incorporate career, and we had the NACE in what you're already doing. So Julie, you want to close the shop here?
Yeah, I wanted to give an example of my upbringing, right? Like our students have a lot of interests. Some of them might be musicians, but when parents talk to our students, they might say, how is that going to pay your bills? How is that going to pay for your living wage, right? And so I think we as faculty also need to be okay with sharing with our students. We're not trying to corner you into only being a scientist or whatever that is, that we can all enjoy. We can all enjoy all our interests. And at the same token, be aware of how we can continue these career talks and support each other through this journey. And I wanted to give an example. I feel one of our limitations is our parents nowadays haven't really raised children to really explore work, because they've prioritized so much of go to school, do your best. Now, whether or not a student does their best, they're playing games at the same time, right? So teaching students today about what good career readiness skills look like, being on time, being respectful, asking questions, improving communication skills are truly the skills that we want our students to grow and learn from. And sometimes they haven't been challenged to understand what that means. A lot of our employers have shared that many of our students don't even know how to use a broom. So if you were to ask them how to do different things, and some of you guys might be laughing because you might have students like that in your own classes, we just want to help them to grow. And what does that mean to work in a professional environment? What does that mean to create better forms of communication? How do we help them grow? Or how do we challenge them to interview a professional? They might be like, well, I don't even know what to say. Well, let's think of something that you want to do and challenge that student to feel uncomfortable. And it was always during those times of feeling uncomfortable, we all learn, good or bad. I mean, I remember my first job, I kind of hated my first job. I mean, I used to work at Pukalani Superette. And I was like, I was a cashier and I hated that zing sound every time you scan bar something, right? Ding, ding. It used to drive me nuts. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so not doing this ever again, right? So from an early age, we even learned from the negative things that we might not like about ourselves that helps us to grow, to improve our career development skills. So I just wanted to throw that out to all the faculty to be creative and think about even your well-disciplined training in research, saying to our students that, hello, scholarly resources don't include Wikipedia and Google, like give them another resource on how to research things. And so just really opening those doors for our students to learn and grow, even from our own educational journeys and what we learned from when we were in college, I think are just great examples. And today, like I heard Mike talk about entrepreneurship. Of course, obviously, that's where we're going. Being in Hawaii, we're in the perfect time zone. And you know what? Our students can do everything they want. We don't have to say, okay, if you're an accounting major, all you're going to do is accounting. We have to be able to embrace all the things that we enjoy doing and really taking that to the next level of understanding how all of these skills can help us to be great community citizens in all of our interests. And the rest is really time management, right? How do we discipline ourselves to care for our family? How do we care for ourselves? How do we care for our careers and our own love and joy of music, arts, culture? I mean, Deanna's a good example. Just like for me, it's like I have to balance all these things. Well, it's the same thing for our students. So I just want to encourage you all to, I know you guys are amazing already. We don't have to tell you more what you need to do. You already know what to do. And that we just want to be there to support all of you in your journey with helping our students gain improved career readiness skills. Thank you. And I think I wanted to ask if there was any questions, if anybody had any thoughts or ideas, or if they wanted to share some of these things that we grew up, and how we can think about how we share that with our students today.
Hey, Julie, this is Deanna. Just really fast. Something that I seen recently is that, and it's geared towards younger generations, is that when we ask younger people, oh, what is their passion? They kind of give us that puzzled look. And so I think when we frame it in such a way of, well, what excites you? What do you love to do? What, kind of what gets you going and stuff. So, because that word passion, they might not, really connect with that. So I've been trying to go down that road with some students, like if you could do anything in the world and you would wake up every morning and just absolutely love to do that, what is it?
That's so funny that you shared that. And I liked your example in the chat about that tourist job. Before, our parents used to make us do stuff, and like we might have hated it. And it was because of that helped us move towards our professional dream or career, because we're like, I am not doing that. So trying really to think about where our students are today and how we help them, I think is so amazing. Does anybody else might want to share something about that?
I wanted to share a quick comment, Julie, when you were describing that moment in a student's life when they're kind of leaving the bounds of their parental understanding of the world and going into this more creative understanding that hopefully a college experience engenders in them. That's such a nice description of the Kaʻao framework, the Huaka'i, right? Where they have to leave something behind in order to grow, in order to evolve, in order to expand their horizons. And if you can present it, it seems to me that if we can present their college experience in that kind of frameworks, it makes it easier. It gives them a way to understand what they're going through as something other, as something other than just this weird, strange feeling of resistance towards growth, right? It's natural, it's normal, it's what our ancestors lived through, it's built into our DNA, it's what we are as human beings. So I just wanted to highlight that part of what you shared.
Thanks for sharing that, and I also think that, like how the ESET students participated in that abroad conference. I mean, many of our local students have never traveled off island. You can do a survey yourself in your own class and figure that out. So even giving our students opportunities to travel and do something class related, or do, like a study abroad for a semester or something. All of these things will help our students to grow, develop. And I think most of all, it empowers them to see like, wow, I can do this. So I think that's super helpful for our students to grow. And a lot of them may not even be experienced with, these third world countries, right? My father was from the Philippines. I never knew what that was like until 2009 when I actually went to visit the Philippines. And then I thought, oh my gosh, I'm so spoiled. I'm so privileged. What am I doing having 25 pairs of sandals? You know what I'm saying? And it's like over there, they might only have 1 or 2, right? So, I mean, it really gives our students global mindedness, being really aware of not only how we are here in Hawaii, but how that looks like in comparison to countries around the world as well. So I think travel has a lot to do with empowering and growing our students too. So just trying to encourage you all to, be a part of that career development. It doesn't only start from Focus 2, it's all the things throughout a student's journey. So thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Thanks, Julie. I just have one announcement before Eri and Laura closes out. I will be sending out the evaluation survey and as well as the recording, the chat links on the survey. For those of you who requested overload, your reflection is going to be part of that evaluation survey. And then just to remind you also, Taopuri Tangaro has generously offered his help. And for those of you who have already met with him individually, it's such a wonderful way to, an easy way to get ideas on how to integrate the Kaʻao into your work. So Laura?
Sure. I think one of the things, Julie, you made me think of this, and Eric, you were speaking to the challenge, right? That moment, those transformational moments. And I think as a group for FYE, we've been really great at kind of establishing some tools for connecting with students, having moments where people can articulate, reflect on their hua. We're getting better at the tools that we can provide, resources, campus resources. But the huaka'i, that for me, I'm thinking about when I was an FYE instructor, that was the part that I had a hard time with. So I challenge you, what are those moments in your class where you lose students, where they get uncomfortable, where they get so challenged that they sometimes abandon the project? And how can we apply the FYE framework, the Kaʻao template in those moments? And I wonder if anybody has examples, because for me, if I were still teaching, and I do have fantasies about that, that I think would be the area that I would want to explore more. And I would love to hear, we'll probably have to have a follow-up, how you folks are doing that. How are you applying it in those moments? When they get uncomfortable, right, those challenging moments, where can we pull in our FYE resources to help us there? So I just wanted to end my part with that challenge to you folks. And I wish we had time to brainstorm, because I know you all have really great ideas about it. With that, I'll hand it over to Eri.
Mahalo again for all of you to joining us today and spending Friday afternoon. I guess one thing, from FYE perspective, we always like your input and always continue to think about how can we support our students and student success. And so we really appreciate you attending. all these activities that we put together and Faculty Institute. And, you know, please reach out to any of the FYE committee members if you have any ideas or concerns, or, you know, please feel free to reach out to any of us. And then sorry, one more last thing. So please look out for the spreadsheet or list from either Laura or I, so that you can let us know if you're interested in teaching FYE courses. You know, at the request of a faculty member, I'm gonna try to identify, you know, because it's the FYE group, who your FYE students are in FYE courses. So I'm gonna try to do that before the semester begins. I heard that that may help for you to kind of assist students and kind of knowing what they might need. And so as we talk about, you know, do you appreciate the struggles students and have? And so just, you know, there may be something that we can try to support you in that way. So yeah, that's it. And thank you so much for attending today. And anybody would like to share anything else?
I have a brief share. I'm nursing faculty. Aloha, everyone. You know, we don't often, I'm not immersed in FYE to the full capacity. Nursing students usually, after being shaped by you all and supported by you all, then they reach us. But I have integrated the Kaʻao framework into each one of my courses. I'm still developing it and working on it, whether it be first year, second year, third year students. What I do want to share, and I know everybody's short on time, is additional to that, I had a pilot study this last 7 months through the Hawaiian Grant Study, working with the Hui. And I'm not sure if it speaks to what you were talking to, Laura, or not, as far as reaching out and utilizing campus resources. But we had initially 11 applicants that were accepted. And shortly into it, I don't think they knew what they were in for. So about 4 weeks into the study, the commitment and the level of science in the study overwhelmed them quite a bit. I realized that my guide on the side role had to become more of a exclusive. So I worked week to week to kind of embellish that. But what I want to share is that the Kaʻao framework that I integrated in the curriculum when I developed it with Nicolette and Marissa, it saved us, because the heart of the Hui is what carried everyone through to the completion. We had 7 finish very, very strong. One was Terry's son. And we have had 4 out of the 7 take the board exams, which were way outside their capacity when they first realized what they had signed up for. And they passed first time. So we have 4 successes. We have 3 more to go that are, I'm still working with them to get them to sit for the boards, but the heart of the Hui and the commitment that we all made more so to each other than they made to themselves was the strength of the Hui. It was the strength of their success. It's what, I mean, they are in a place they didn't think, those that passed, so appreciative of the resources from the Hui, HANA Pathways, and my husband and I, Tom Blamey, we actually integrated 2 practicum courses with the theory study that I delivered, and the relationships are lifelong. So it's the heart of the Hui that got us through. So thank you very much for Kaʻao, and I just wanted to share my initial and foregoing experience. Aloha, thanks all.
I just want to add on that, because I was a part of that group because they had like open exercise sessions and stuff. And even just the commitment they had towards each other, because they were all in very varying levels, you could tell, and definitely in different stages in their lives. And like even just for this past weekend, we had like a trunk or treat, and then he saw a couple of the classmates, and it was funny. They kind of didn't recognize him at first because of the mask and wearing Halloween outfits. And then he's like, "Mom, that's Auntie so instead," like, because I looked and I was like, "Oh my gosh, there's the people from your group," and they're like, they just formed this bond, and it really helped them because some of them went through some really trying things during those weeks, and some of those things would have had me, I mean, I feel like my son is less resilient than I am because we all want better for our kids, and so like even for me, like I would have felt like I would have wanted to like just reevaluate what I'm doing in my life and kind of step back. But they were all so supportive of each other because of that commitment, not just to the program. Because even when parts of the program got tough, right? The other ones were their cheerleaders also. And like as a teacher, I find that so awesome because I'm constantly cheerleading my students, right? But when they can cheerlead each other and like, because they know they're going through whatever, and even if they haven't experienced those problems and stuff, that they can still go through with helping their the others. And then of course it strengthens their networks and everything. It's really very heartwarming.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Joyce.